Cam has alerted me to a commit that has just come down. And this gentleman hailing from the northern part of the state, Jacksonville, Florida, and an offensive lineman coming in for 2026.
Yeah. So, first of all, if you've not been keeping up with content on the channel, I did write the welcome to the U and do the video for Joel Irvin. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But right as we were going to go live, which was the thing, DC Forever Loyal, I was just waiting to make sure that it went live at 7, so I knew the name before we hit the airwaves. JJ Sparks from Jacksonville Bulls. So that ties in with the lead in, Mark being a professional, looking for a spark along the offensive line, and have found, well, technically plural Sparks, because, S being his last name, from Jacksonville Bulls, a legacy program in the state of Florida. This is one of the better high school football programs around. They've done a great job for a number of years of developing players and putting them into the college level over the course of a lot of time. So the fact that JJ Sparks attends Bulls, also I understand that to be one of the premier public schools in the Jacksonville area, because I have friends who live and work up that way, is another great thing for me. As you can see in his 247 headshot there, all Florida out in the swamp. You can see that behind his head. I don't have the cursor, but right on the right hand side of the picture, right by his head, this is the swamp sign, wearing a Gator shirt, Gator lanyard, and whatnot. But yeah, 6'4", 300 pounds. This is definitely an interior lineman, plays left guard, has started there for Bulls the last couple of years, wearing number 55 on his jersey. A 3-star kind of a kid. He's a perfect fit at guard. Like, he's not tackle sized. From a height perspective, he's a little shorter than you like for a tackle. Also, his arm length, from what I was looking at on film while I was not communicating with Mark that I was ready to go for the show, because I did look at a couple of clips, he doesn't have immense arm length, which is fine to play inside. And yeah, so again, this is a high school team that does well with fundamentals, does well with developing players, giving them a solid foundation to grow from, to continue to perform in their career as they go. 6'4", 300 pounds. This is a kid that has has official visits already scheduled to Miami and Florida State. Herb Hand, the longtime offensive line coach from Auburn and Florida State and other places, was leading his recruitment to the Seminoles, but just a couple minutes ago, like I said, he has decided to commit to the University of Miami. That gives Miami 8 commitments in this class. We had been 6 for 6 with blue chippers up through Javian Mallory. Joel Irvin is not currently ranked in the 4-star, the blue chip kind of a range, although I fully expect that to change. I said in the video, and we'll circle back and talk about him next on here. And then you got JJ Sparks. Again, you need guys all over the offensive line. I've written it already in the numbers and needs. You've heard me say it. You've heard, if you listen and watch or consume content from any number of other Miami Hurricanes sites and contributors, whether it's paid or whether it's not, offensive line is going to be a huge, huge focus in this class. And so now you got Ben Congdon, 6'8", 300-pound offensive tackle from Ohio. You got Joel Irvin, 6'7", 340 from Fort Myers, and now you got JJ Sparks, 6'4", 300. You're building the kind of, again, these are the foundational building blocks of the Great Wall of Mirabal in this class, continuing with another solid get. This is another good player for that group. Am I expecting the world of him as I would with maybe some other higher ranked players? Probably not. Might take a couple of years to, continue to work on his body, continue to build his skills before you pencil him into the starting lineup. But do not get this twisted. This is a Miami caliber player along the offensive line. You're going to need those guys, and this is one of those ones that you need, because you're not going to have 5-star All-Americans at every single position. And regardless of the ranking and everything, when you look at him play on the field, and again, I had to dive a little bit further, but from what I was watching these last couple of minutes, JJ Sparks is definitely a Miami caliber lineman. This is someone who can be developed by Mirabal moving forward on that offensive line. Very excited about this. And again, this is your already third offensive line commit in this class as we sit here on April the 2nd. Brother, if that doesn't, again, the action belies the intent. We've been saying that this is going to be a huge offensive line class already, but basically at the beginning of April, we have 3 offensive linemen committed. There you go.
So a couple of perspectives come to mind here as it pertains to Miami and then just the offensive line position in particular. One would be, we see that he is ranked 71st interior guard center. Let's say we double that to include tackles, and he's somewhere in the top 150 range of offensive linemen as rated in America. And I know that's very rough math.
Yeah.
And if Miami's a top 15 program, and they are typically, any power program is going to sign typically how many offensive linemen? 5 or 6 in a class?
Between 4 and 6 or 7, yeah, somewhere.
Okay. So the sheer numbers would say that he is not a Miami caliber player. However, I would go in these two directions. And it does not speak to JJ Sparks in particular because I know nothing about him. This speaks to just my approach, I guess, in looking at things. One would be, first of all, the trust that you have in the coaching staff at this position in particular, where throughout the rankings, just they know what they want. They can spot talent, especially at this position, and they know what they want, and they can see a fit, and they can see a projected, starter or complementary player that will work and be a serviceable backup that will be in those key 2 or 3 positions after the starter, something like that. Number one. Number two, in that I have nothing to back this up. I would love, and this is the many things that involve recruiting in particular that I would love for there to be exhaustive studies on, but I don't know who's going to go through this. But it seems as though if you could take all the various levels of productivity in college football at every position, going from all Americans to all conference players to highly productive starters, and then you measure that against the star rating and the ranking, I would guess that there would be a larger variance downward to offensive linemen, meaning there is more development needed there, and there are lower rated players who ascend to become very good players at offensive line. And again, this is just a guess. I have nothing to back that up, but it just seems that way.
No, and that's fair. And again, when you consider the developmental nature of offensive line in general, you know what I mean? You're going to sometimes plant a seed that is not a tree tomorrow. It's going to be a tree that creates the shade for future generations type stuff. That was Miramar Band. Shout out to you, Kenton. I know you heard that. But yeah, he's, I know that it's not a 1-to-1 comparison or anything. Anez Cooper coming out of high school was 1,149 on the composite and the number 109 offensive tackle in the country. Saw him, liked his skill set, said, maybe got a little bit bad weight on you, trim that down, kick you inside the guard, day one starter for the last 3 years, so it's there. Sometimes those things can happen where you move a guy and then you also just develop guys. I always talk about Daniel Isadora from Cypress Bay in the same class as Jonathan Feliciano, who just retired from the NFL. Sometimes there are going to be guys who, and I saw somebody say it, Minnie Hunt in the chat, 2-3 years for online guys to be ready. And she likes his size.
Which is ironic that somebody named Minnie would like his size.
Right, I know the irony is thick, but yeah,
Shout out to Minnie. She's been joining us on a very number of
Yeah.
shows here in the last couple weeks.
Right. And well, we love to see you. This is the first time I've seen one of your comments, but welcome to the chat. But yeah, there's going to be your day one, your Maui Noahs, and I mean, even though it wasn't expected, your Coopers who are going to be day one guys, and then you're going to have your Daniel Isadora, who's ended up as an honorable mention all conference. Your John Feliciano, who played years 3, 4, and 5 for him in college, ended up as second team all conference. Like, yeah, some slide in right away. Some take a mango season or two to develop their bodies and their skills, and then make their way into the rotation. But either way, I think that this is a good get. You need your you need your superstars and you need your worker bees kind of thing. And I'm fine with that. So yeah, I think that he made a good choice here, especially if you are self-aware and know, hey, I'm not 6'8", 335 pounds, 25 and 15 on the basketball court, dancing bear kind of thing. I get on the field and I'm going to start day one. I know that, and I'm going to, like Ben Congdon, who knows that he's even huge, right? But maybe not there to play day one. I'm going to go somewhere that develops me. And I'm just going to call a spade a spade. Miami and their staff are way better at developing linemen than Florida and Florida State. So even though he had visited Florida clearly from the picture, even though he has an official visit to Florida State on the books, because you can look that up, he said, you know what? Been talking to Miami, visiting Miami. Yeah, that's a better fit for me. And I think that it's a good fit both ways for player and program both.